In the early 2000s, Xbox's exclusive franchise, Halo, became canon to the entire Microsoft gaming franchise. It immediately became one of the first IPs you thought of when you heard of Xbox. It garnered a large following which is still going strong till this day. Halo was an instant classic and a definitive title for the Xbox consoles. As the franchise got more popular, developers thought of different ways to improve the Halo games. And so in today's video, we'll be discussing the unreleased Halo games. Now in late 2006, it was rumored that a major game developer was in talks with Microsoft to obtain a license for Xbox's successful shooter. When the Master Chief was in his prime, it seemed like everyone wanted a piece of him. So whoever the developer was thought it would be a great idea to port Halo to the Nintendo DS. Now I'd like to mention that it's still up to debate whether this game is considered an actual game prototype or a fan-made mod. But up until 2007, the rumors of this cancelled game's existence were just that, rumors. No one had footage or tangible evidence that this game was ever a concept. Now this so-called demo was made using the GoldenEye Rogue Agent engine. Now because of this, some believe that EA was the major developer that pitched the idea. In January 2007, Matt Casamassina of IGN claimed that he played a version of Halo for the Nintendo DS, and on October 2nd, 2007, he demonstrated an on-camera and in-game footage of an early development style version of Halo DS. The bottom screen was used mostly for motion sensor, but had other uses which would allow you to see what weapons you were carrying and your health and shield. Now once again, it's important to mention that this game is on the judgment line of whether or not this quote-unquote game was an actual game prototype or not. Since it was built on the GoldenEye engine, many have been arguing that this was not an official prototype made by an actual developer, but rather a hoax. But I thought it was interesting enough to add it to the list. But let's move on. Now in 2006, Peter Jackson's team over at Wingnut Interactive were teaming up with Bungie to co-write, co-produce, and co-design an original story to add to the Halo franchise. In 2007, at the Game Developers Conference, Microsoft employee Shane Kim announced that Halo Chronicles would be an episodic title. Jackson was planning 2 separate episodic series for the Xbox at the time and would be in downloadable form. It was speculated that the game would be more of an interactive movie. So I'm assuming something like the Telltale's Walking Dead games or L.A. Noire type of game maybe. Now Bungie had a small group of employees work with the New Zealand developers in order to make this game happen. But it seemed as though the Halo franchise was biting off way more than it could chew. There was simply too much going on, especially with the talks of a movie adaptation at the time that would eventually fall through and become something completely different. Now when asked about Halo Chronicles, Peter Jackson stated this in an interview. The Halo project is no longer happening. It sort of collapsed when the movie didn't end up happening. After the cancellation, the team tasked with developing Halo Chronicles would go on to aid the development of Halo 3 ODST. The only small detail known about this game was that it had a focus on intimate and personal aspects of war. And finally, let's move on to the last game, which many have dubbed the Halo MMO, which was codenamed Project Titan, or Titan for short. The team issued with this task of developing Titan was Microsoft's own Ensemble Studios, the team behind the Age of Empires games. Project Titan was supposed to rival the other well-known MMOs, such as World of Warcraft. The Ensemble staff was split, some would work on the project while others focused on Halo Wars. This title was unfortunately cancelled in 2007, and Ensemble Studios closed its doors in September of 2008, only a year after. Now as the studio shut down, information began to slowly leak about this elusive MMO and what it may have been. Ex-Ensemble developer Dusty Monk decided to dish out information of the cancelled project upon starting his own indie studios, Windstorm Studios. Monk stated that Microsoft was specifically after World of Warcraft, and the amount of money Microsoft was willing to sacrifice for the game is what would have made it so successful. The studio was giving an initial budget of $90 million, and is likely it would have thrown even more to continue to improve this title. But believe it or not, as Microsoft began changing its direction, the company began to look at the Nintendo Wii's impact on the market and its impressive numbers. So they felt the Xbox and the Xbox Live platform needed to go in a different direction for casual gamers. Dusty Monk was quoted as saying this: "We had all this incredible talent, we had the right people, the right passion, we had a phenomenally successful IP, the Halo IP. But Microsoft were looking really hard at the Nintendo Wii, and they were really excited about the numbers that the Wii was turning." So part of this changing of the guard at Microsoft came along with the changing of attitude to this very expensive, very long, and very protracted $90 million project we were working on. To cut a long story short, Titan was closed down indefinitely after this. We were developing a cover system. This cover system is in Star Wars: The Old Republic. We had the idea of quests between 2004 and 2007, before Warhammer Online had ever been released, where you could participate and pull characters together without having to be on the same team. This could be a public quest that everyone in a particular area could work on. The idea went into Warhammer Online. Now, surprisingly enough, after Ensemble closed down, many of the former developers ended up working with Blizzard on World of Warcraft. And lead programmer of Ensemble Studios, Dave Pottinger, also stated, "Ensemble has been wanting to make an MMO for a long time, that was in production for a long time. The Halo IP was a great IP to launch an MMO with. Microsoft hasn't had the best track record for those, and we worked on it for a long time. We had staffed up an almost 40-person team, and then there was some reorganization at Microsoft, and the new bosses thought it just wasn't the best idea anymore. It had actually been greenlit, and then it cancelled after that." Now, it's very interesting as to the amount of detail that was put into this game, with the different classes, races, new enemies, new vehicles, new weapons, and new locations. This game was very possible to give World of Warcraft a run for its money, especially with the funds to back it up. And those are a few of the cancelled Halo games. Thank you guys for watching. Check out some of my other videos if you'd like, and I'll catch you all next time.